Hope everyone had a great Diwali. Okay. It's a very auspicious time. In fact, this month itself is considered very auspicious. The month of Kartik. We have many festivities, and at the end of today's session, we will also be singing one beautiful song, a devotional song called Damodara Ashtakam. And yeah, welcome. And yeah, we'll dive into some spiritual sweetness. Okay, so welcome. Uh, okay, our today's session is modes and modes, and how external factors can affect our consciousness. So we'll just start with a brief recap of the previous session. So in the last class, does someone remember any points that come to your mind from the previous session? Any key take home messages? Any messages you took away? Yeah, Mahesh ji. Oh yeah, difference between the gross body and subtle body. Yeah. Anything else? Yeah, what goes with us to the next life? Yeah, wonderful. Sure. Mhm. Yeah, yeah, wonderful question. So, yeah, in the subtle body, as we discussed, the soul carries, the Atma carries its desires, inclinations, aspirations, longings. Although the Atma does not carry specific memories from past life, but it carries all those inclinations, and the Atma carries the karma as well. And then in either the next one or the session after that, we will talk in detail about karma, how karma goes with us from one life to another. And yeah, so karma is something that uh, des- uh, it decides our destiny. Hmm? So basically, two D's we can remember: desire and deserve. So desire part is what we discussed last time. Basically, that's what we carry in our subtle body, our aspirations, longings, and so on. And the deserve part, we may desire many lofty things, but we should even deserve them. So yeah, the deserve part is what karma is about. Yeah, wonderful. Any other points you remember from the previous session? Okay. So yeah, we saw this difference, as Mahesh ji pointed out, the difference between gross body and subtle body. So which of these things are considered matter and which is considered non-material completely? In fact, it's there in the diagram itself. Open book question. Yeah. So even our subtle body is considered material, basically. Although it's very subtle, it's subtler than any elements we can perceive. But still, it's Krishna categorizes it under material energy. Krishna calls it Bhinna Prakriti. But Atma, the soul, Krishna calls it Para Prakriti. And both these terms are there in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verses 4 and 5. So in verse 4, Krishna calls all the Pancha Mahabhut, which is earth, water, fire, air, ether, and then along with that, there are subtler elements, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Krishna calls them as material energy, bhinna prakriti. But the Atma is spiritual, para prakriti. The Atma is even beyond the influence of time. What is under the purview of time is our gross body and even our subtle body. But there's an event, uh, something in the multi-life journey of Atma, where the Atma even sheds off the subtle body. Oh, by the way, let me ask a question. So the subtle body, does it also come with us from one life to another? Yes, it comes. And we discussed how uh, then one may get this question. Well, but I don't remember my past lives. So yeah, in fact, it's the benevolent arrangement of nature and of God that specific memories of past life are erased. But still we carry the inclinations, longings, desires, aspirations, and so on. So yeah, and therefore we may see two twins born from the womb of the same mother may look exactly identical, and yet one of them may become a big criminal, a big time criminal, and the other one may become a big time saint. So yeah, because yes, yeah, wonderful. So yeah, true ego is the state where the Atma identifies itself as the Atma and sees itself in connection with the Paramatma, and acts in that relationship, which is our topic for one of the future sessions. What do we do in that liberated state? Are we just sleeping and snoring, or are we engaged in some spiritual activities? So what is that state of true ego? We will see in one of the future sessions. But false ego basically means our conception of ourselves. Who am I? And what is life meant for? Hmm? So that is ego. And false ego means when the Atma deeply identifies itself with matter. It's so absorbed in the temporary realm of matter. And we can perceive that, isn't it? For most of us, that seems to be the case. So, yeah, the false ego is that immediate next element closest to the Atma, that it's like the glue between the Atma and the whole realm of material energy. Otherwise, the Atma has nothing to do with the material energy. The material energy with all these material elements, everything we see around, the whole material creation, in fact, the whole universe, everything that we can see with our eyes far and wide, all the planets, stars, they are, uh, they come within the realm of matter, which is a creation of Brahma. We will see that in future. It's another advanced topic. But the spiritual realm is completely beyond that. And the spiritual realm is not under the influence of time. There are verses in the Gita talking about that. If someone is curious, just if you would like to refer, verses 8.20 and 21. Krishna talks about, in fact, some of the previous verses, Krishna talks about how now, this is just a digression from our session, but verses 17 onward, or in fact 15 onward, 8.15 until 8.21, Krishna talks about the differences between the material realm and spiritual realm. And how within the material realm, there we see cycles of creation, maintenance, destruction. It happens from tiny level, tiny daily level to a bigger macro level. Like uh, we have cycles of day and night, and then day is like birth. The dawning of the day is like a small birth, and then getting tired at night and falling to sleep is like a mini death. Or sometimes in some cultures, death itself is called a long term sleep. Or sleep could be seen as a mini death. So we see that in the time factor, there are smaller cycles included within bigger macro cycles. So then bigger than days are years. Then uh, another bigger outer circle is our lifespan itself. But then our lifespan is itself tiny compared to the whole Yug, Kali Yuga. But then Kali Yuga is again tiny compared to the whole cycle of in our Vedic scriptures, they talk about four yugas, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga. That itself is a smaller portion of this whole cycle. And then comes the bigger, something bigger than that, Brahma's day, and then there's Brahma's life. So yeah, these are bigger scales of time. So yeah, why did we come to this? Yeah, but the spiritual realm is beyond all this, all these changes. So the state of true ego is when the Atma attains that spiritual realm. Okay. We'll be delving more into this in one of the future sessions. Okay, so yeah, we saw that the mind is basically, now modern psychology may have different definitions of mind, intelligence, and ego, but this is the definition from the perspective of scriptures. Mind is basically the storehouse of all our desires and memories, impressions, all the passing thoughts, they are processed in the mind. But the intelligence is considered higher than the mind. We saw in this picture on the previous slide. Because the intelligence can control the mind. The intelligence can give directions to the mind. No mind, don't go in that direction. Okay, yes, you can go in that direction. Now, uh, according to this definition of intelligence, there's nobody who is unintelligent. Everyone has this element of intelligence, but that intelligence can be corrupted when one loses that sense of discrimination. So technically, everyone has this element of buddhi, intelligence. The subtle element is there in everyone, but it can be corrupted for someone. And in this connection, we saw that there are no evil souls actually. Uh, Someone had brought up the example of Hitler. So, yeah, what's the Atma who perpetrated all those criminal activities of murdering so many people? That Atma is not impure as such, but it's the contaminations lie in the subtle body. That intelligence is a corrupted intelligence. Okay, we saw that. So intelligence tells us which pathway to take and which not. The mind is a storehouse of desires and so on. Yeah, Nikhilji. All right. So your question is, we have no control over the mind, and so hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Wonderful. Yeah. Yeah, that's a wonderful answer. Yeah, and our topic for today is also deals with that. So the intelligence certainly controls the mind. go in this direction, not in this, because any random thought may come to somebody's mind. A man may want to just go and embrace some beautiful woman, but yeah, if he has a sense of intelligence, he'll refrain himself, and likewise for women also. So yeah, we act properly in this world because there is that sense of discrimination. But then why at all do some certain thoughts come to the mind at all? So as Raviji gave the explanation, yeah, it's a storehouse. We are made up of so many past lives as well, not just this life. We are carrying so many impressions and uh, inclinations from our past lives. And then there is the other factor of the three modes that we are going to discuss today. What choices we have made in the past, how we have given shape to our internals based on certain choices we have subscribed to. So we are going to see that today. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we discussed this analogy. Our gross body made of the Pancha Mahabhut can be compared to a hardware. Our subtle body, mind, intelligence, false ego, can be compared to the software of a machine. And we, the real person, the Atma, are like the user of both the hardware and software. Krishna speaks in the Gita, 18th chapter, 61st verse. ईश्वरः सर्वभूतानां हृतदेशेऽर्जुन तिष्ठति भ्रामयन् सर्वभूतानि यन्त्रारूढानि मायया. Krishna calls uh, he, Krishna calls this body as a yantra, a machine or a device, and we are like riding on this yantra, using it. We are moving it around. And this can be understood with some simple analogy. If you have seen in some movie, I used to watch movies some years ago. I haven't been in touch since last 13 years or so, but uh, in the past, when I have seen movies, in some English movie, I remember seeing some man sitting on a big robot-like machine that also looks like a human. It's a huge sized human. And when the man presses some controls, the bot moves in certain ways. It picks up some objects and does this thing, that thing. So yeah, the soul is sitting within the body. Yeah, Anusha. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Great question. Yeah. Uh, there's a verse in the Gita. Krishna says in 2.59, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. So, yeah, if we only focus on give up this, give up that, only negation does not help. Because if we only focus on negation of something, like don't watch movies, don't do this, don't do that, then the mind will anyways go back to those things. But when the mind is given a higher engagement, so just like a small child who may be wanting to play with something dangerous, like a child may want to put his or her hand into fire just to play with it. The child doesn't know that fire can burn it, but the child wants to do that. Now, what should the parents do? Will only saying no work? No, don't do that. The child will anyways keep going toward that. What works in this case? What do you think? Give the child something else. Yeah, wonderful. Give the child a higher engagement. hmm? Something, replace that with a wonderful positive activity. So yeah, spiritual life is a wonderful life. Krishna says, "Susukham kartum avyayam." It's a the process of spiritual knowledge and spiritual practices. It's a happy process. It starts generating happiness from within, and the whole course is meant to show us that journey, and we can choose to take it up, and we can ourselves feel that transformation, and then we don't feel like so even without an extraneous endeavor, it will naturally happen because, yeah, that gets replaced with some wonderful spiritual engagements. Yeah. And what those are, yeah, we'll gradually uncover. Thank you. So, yeah, we saw this analogy, and then we saw the chariot of material existence. Yeah, life can be seen as a chariot. The horses of this chariot are compared to our senses, and the mind is compared to the rope that's controlling the horses. The intelligence is compared to the chariot driver, and the passenger is the Atma who is living within this whole framework. And uh, when the mind and senses are uncontrolled, they go in any direction. Hmm. And the chariot of our existence, then it goes in a haphazard direction. Hmm. And the intelligence also, uh, it, it's a weak intelligence in such cases. In such cases, what happens is the mind and intelligence succumbs to get tempted by some immediate pleasures, and the intelligence follows them, condoning all the activities of the mind and senses and justifying them. But the what Krishna is, so here in such a situation, in such a life where the chariot of our existence is going in any direction and it's totally out of control, what happens is our lower self is controlling our higher self. Our lower self could, because we are living with these senses and mind and so on, they are an integral part of our life. So although we are not them, but still they are a part of our life. We are living with them constantly at all times. So yeah, but they are our lower selves, and the higher self is we, the Atma itself. So we may be controlled by our lower self. Yeah, I'll just complete this point. But the Gita is recommending no, let the higher self control the lower self, not the other way around. Hmm. And Krishna speaks about this in the at the end of the third chapter. Indriyani paranyahur. I'm forgetting that exact verse. Yeah. So third chapter, 42nd or 43rd verse. Yeah. Yeah. Maheshji, you had a point. Yeah, good point. The Atma is certainly uh, the mind intelligence that we talk about, that we are currently using that framework while living in this material realm. It certainly performs those actions, but the Atma itself, even without a material mind intelligence, it can perform all those functions. So, so it's not that in the spiritual realm, the Atma is just some inert object, or the Atma is full of life. And in fact, in the current frame of existence, the Atma is very much restricted. We fall hungry. If we don't provide food to our body, we die. We have to sleep. So the body puts so many restrictions on the Atma, but in its free state, in its liberated state, the Atma is much more active and lively and vibrant and dynamic. And yeah, it can certainly perform all those functions. The Atma is not dependent on um, yeah, mind, intelligence, false ego, gross body. But yeah, now this question may come up. We had also discussed about ghosts in last session. So, but then ghosts try to occupy some body, right? What does that mean? Because those ghosts still have a subtle body with certain contaminated desires, and yeah, they are not freed atmas, like, so they are looking for a gross body to interact with the material realm and enjoy the pleasures of this material realm. So anyways, when we take to spiritual topics, these things don't make us afraid in any way. So yeah, it's the topic about ghosts and all can make some of us uncomfortable, but when seen from a spiritual perspective, it rather makes us fearless. It's meant to make us fearless and confident. In fact, no pure atmas. Yeah. the pure Atmas may come from the spiritual realm for some certain purposes. Uh, if God sends, if Paramatma sends certain Atmas, pure Atmas may come to this material realm also. But yeah, yeah, without gross and subtle body, the Atma itself can exist independent of both of these and can perform uh, all functions that one can perform with the gross as well as subtle body. So, yeah, in Srimad Bhagavat Puran, there's a story of one dying man who had committed lots of sinful activities in life. But while dying, he called out he had named one of his sons as Narayan. And while dying, this man's name was Ajamil. Hmm? You know Spandanaji? Yeah, Spandanaji, right? Janki. Oh, okay, okay. I see. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, this man calls out Narayan, and then some associates of Narayan or Vishnu Dutas, they come to this material realm to save him from that predicament. Mm, yeah. So, okay, yeah. So we can conclude that uh, with this, our previous session can be concluded with one sutra that our internals affect our externals. Hmm? Because what we are within, yeah, it will come out in one form or the other. Hmm? So internals affect externals. Hmm? But now, is it also true that, do you think it's true that externals also affect our internals? Yeah, most of you seem to be agreeing with this. Could you give some small example of how the externals may affect our internals? Yeah, the inputs and pleasures we may get from the five senses. Yeah, they form some impressions and then, yeah, they are imprinted within. Wonderful. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, true, true. And yeah, say for example, someone's boss comes and gives a task that is very unpleasant and tedious to do. Then yeah, it's an external trigger, but it affects it. It becomes a catalyst for some internal good that's going on within our internals. Hmm. So yeah, externals also do affect our internals. Now, uh, so now we come to this question. Uh, why am I the way I am? And yeah, this will deal with one of the questions Nikhilji also brought up. Hmm. Why are people the way they are? Has it ever come to your mind why someone is the way he or she is? Oh, practically, it must be coming every day, no? Husband, wife, father and son, mother and son, father and daughter, mother and daughter. Yeah, in all relationships, these questions may come to our mind. Why is he the way he is? Why is she the way she is? And has this question come to your mind? Why am I the way I am? Yeah, pretty much. Almost all of us must have got this question. Hmm. Can we do a quick 20, 30-second contemplation and just go back in the time and think of some instance where we thought, oh, why am I like this? Why did I do that? I shouldn't have done that. I hope I can go back in time and undo that. Hmm. Has it ever come to your mind? Let's try thinking about it. Maybe we may have spoken harshly to someone, or we may have just acted in ways that are not beneficial for anyone. Hmm. Okay. Yeah. So would someone, just one or two of us, would you like to share something that came to your mind? If it's shareable. Mhm. Hmm. Mhm. Mhm. Hmm. Hmm. Oh yeah. Nice that you contemplated over it and tried to derive some lessons from it. Wonderful. Anyone else? If this thought crossed your mind anytime in the recent past, why am I like this? Sorry? Okay, okay. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. Hmm? Yeah. So, yeah, of course, it's not that parents need to stop shouting, but yet sometimes uh, parents may also realize, oh, maybe my shouting was not on a proper basis. Maybe there was some, I actually lost control. Yeah, shouting can be done, but more at an external level without being internally affected by it, without having some ill feeling of hurting another person. It can be done externally. Some strictness can be shown. But yeah, yeah, sometimes that realization may come, oh, maybe I actually lost control. Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, Nikhil. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's a deep point you have made. Actually, today we are going to discuss about the three modes. They are called Sattvagun, Rajogun, and Tamogun. And yeah, we may often get that feeling of helplessness and which creates a lot of stress and anxiety. That happens when there's an influence of this tamogun on us. But when our mind is situated more in sattvagun, we get a clear picture of how things are. We can philosophically analyze life and we can see, oh, there's nothing big to worry about. Yeah. So in fact, our mind also goes through all these three states. We are going to see that in today's session. So yeah, thank you for sharing that example. Now, yeah, here we enter into our discussion for the three modes, the cosmic influencing factors that do have an effect on our consciousness, and such a powerful effect that uh, yeah, the influence of these three modes, it goes with us life after life. So we see three bulbs in this picture: yellow, red, blue. Now what do you think is what's the real color being emitted by the bulb within? Internally, they are all the same, but externally, one is emitting blue color, red, yellow. So, yeah, we can say that the color inside that's being emitted, the original color of the filament is white or yellow. What is it exactly? Yellow, is it, or white? White, maybe. Whatever. Say it's white. But then when that original color comes out through the bulb, through when that bulb is coated with a yellow color glass, then the color that comes out, the light is yellow. Then from a red bulb, red light comes out, and then blue light. But the original one is white itself. So yeah, the different colors emitted by that filament are just because of the coverings. Similarly, the Atma's original nature is pure. The characteristics of Atma given in scriptures are Sat, Chit, and Anand. We may have heard of these three terms. Satchidanand, often it's spoken as one word, Satchidanand. So Sat is eternal, Chit is full of knowledge. The Atma has tremendous knowledge. And Anand, the Atma is full of bliss. The Atma is filled with oceanic bliss, in fact. As we discussed in the first session, everyone is looking for happiness. In fact, that is the nature of Atma. But being covered by a gross and subtle body, we don't experience that original nature of the Atma to be in a state of boundless happiness. But right now, the Atma is covered by various coverings. And now, yes, we saw that everyone has a subtle body, that's the immediate covering. And then on top of that, there's a gross body, an outer covering. But then yet we see every individual is a different person. Everyone acts differently. It's almost like everyone is a different bulb emitting different light, different frequencies. What is it that creates that difference? So that with this, we get into an interesting section from the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna speaks about it. There is one dedicated chapter in the Gita, 14th chapter, that's all about these three modes. But yet, Krishna also speaks about the three modes in various other chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. And we are going to see some verses. So, Krishna defines three modes, three cosmic influencing factors that have an influence on the Atma. And any inputs that we take in could be categorized into these three modes: Sattvagun, Rajogun, and Tamogun. By any chance, has anyone heard this term Sattvic Ahar or Sattvic food? Almost everyone seems to have heard Sattvic food. So yeah, food is an input we take in and it has an effect on our consciousness. So Sattvic food has a certain effect on our consciousness, but Rajasic food, which is about Rajogun, that has a different effect. And then Tamasic food, Tamas, has a different, altogether different effect. So any input we take in from this world, and it's within our choice what inputs we subscribe to. We have the option to subscribe to this, subscribe to that, subscribe to this. So depending on that, our consciousness gets shaped in certain ways because the inputs we take in do affect our internals. So food can be seen in three modes, then music and so many. practically everything in this world can be categorized into these three modes. And now let's see the definitions that Krishna gives us. Would someone like to read? Srinivasji, would you like to read it aloud for us? Conditioned by these modes. Yeah, so Krishna is saying here, this material nature, material realm, the material energies, the Bhinna Prakriti that Krishna spoke of, 8 elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. So when the Atma is acting within this material realm, so the Atma comes in contact with these three modes as well. And then the Atma develops certain conditionings. So, and yeah, those conditionings act like different colored bulbs for the Atma. And then the Atma, different Atmas may act differently. And uh, someone may act in evil ways, someone may act in good ways. Now, first, yeah, let's see how Krishna defines the mode of goodness. Would someone else like to read? Would you like to read? Jyotsna? Yeah, so within this material realm, Sattva Gun is technically translated into English as the mode of goodness. Among all three modes, this is the best one. And it's illuminating, it's uplifting. So, good people in this world, yeah, there are good people also in this world. Though they may also be, uh, they are living in this material realm. The false ego is there even within them. They are also identifying with matter, but yet they are good people. They act in nice, virtuous ways in this world. So what is the mode affecting such people? What is the mode they have subscribed to? Mostly the Sattva Gun, mode of goodness. And yeah, so by the way, in today's session, we are going to see these three modes, Sattva Gun, Rajogun, Tamogun, and another fourth mode, which is transcendental to all three. It's a part of the spiritual realm that is called Shuddha Sattva, or it's also called Nitya Sattva. That's the original mode in which the Atma lives. So, but yet, even in this world, there is a Sattva Gun, the mode of goodness, which enables Atmas to act in good ways in this world. Then, yeah, if you see, yeah, there's a nice representative. I have, by the way, I haven't made all these slides. I have taken them from one of my teachers. He brought together very wonderful pictures. So in today's session, you will see many nice pictures. Other slides, previous slides, you may have found boring. Not so many pictures and all, but yeah, this slideshow has many nice pictures. So Sattva Gun, somebody, yeah, we see some nice, happy, smiling people in this world, right? Being around them, you feel a little positive, you feel positive vibes. So, yeah, that is Sattva Gun. Then let's see the definition of the second mode, Rajogun. Would someone else like to read? Yeah, Pavanji, would you like to? Yeah, thank you. So, what are the characteristics of the mode of passion? Restlessness and yeah, too much jumping from one topic to another, impulsive nature, easily jumping to conclusions, forming judgments about others too quickly. So it's a mode of restlessness somehow, too much activity, hyperactivity. So yeah, one nice difference between Sattva Gun and Rajogun is In Sattvagun, someone thinks first and then acts. So sometimes people in Sattvagun may appear to be a little slow in what they do. But in Rajogun, somebody acts first, and then later on, he may think, he or she. So yeah. And yeah, so hyperactivity or restlessness. So that's Rajogun. And there's one nice picture representing Rajogun. Now, let's see the definition of Tamogun. Would someone else like to read? Yeah, Karthik ji. Yeah. So in this Tamogun, yeah, laziness, yeah, dullness, and even frustration, anger, destructive behavior, these things come under Tamogun, wanting to destroy others, the feelings of grudge and wanting to exploit others completely. So it's, if you see, this mode is even worse than the previous one. Wanting to maybe kill someone or kill oneself also. Suicidal thoughts are also tamasic. So yeah, that is Tamogun. And Tamogun is quite degrading. Now, yeah, so if you see there's some frustrated person sitting out there. Now, we'll have some quiz time. We'll try to identify, we'll try to categorize. Uh, there are there'll be some definitions given and you have to identify them. Actually, this is an easy exercise. With whatever basics we have discussed so far, it should be easy. But doing it rather than me speaking, if we do it as a quiz, it will stick to our mind longer. So let's go ahead with this. Okay. So Krishna defines happiness in three modes. So people subscribing to each of these three modes feel a certain sense of happiness. What are the characteristics of the sense of happiness they feel in each of these modes? So Krishna is defining that. This is directly taken from Bhagavad Gita, these definitions. The examples that come in future slides are not directly from the Gita. They are based on the Gita, but these are directly Bhagavad Gita's words. Would someone like to read? Yeah, Nikhilji. Okay. What do you think? Which of the three modes this may be in? Last one, Tamogun. Okay, let's see if. Okay. Yeah. Now. Yeah, this is one form of happiness. So Krishna is saying, in the beginning, it feels a little difficult, may feel like poison, but at the end, it feels like nectar. And it awakens one to self-realization. What kind of happiness could this be? The first one or second one? Okay, some of you are saying sattva, some of you are saying rajas. Okay. Okay, now after we see the third option, it will be clearer. So now let's see here. That, yeah, would someone else like to read? Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, mostly sensual or temporary happiness, which looks like very dazzling in the beginning, but later on it feels like poison. Uh, yeah. So now, how would you categorize them? Okay. So the first one is tamogun. Second one is sattvagun. And third one is Rajogun. Yeah. So in Sattvagun, Krishna is admitting, yeah, sometimes in the, to begin with, it may feel like a challenge, a life of discipline, a life of good character, virtues, and all. Feels like poison in the beginning, but it's like nectar in the end. When one steadily walks that path, the mode of goodness is illuminating. Among all three modes, it's the best one. So it's helpful for the Atma. Then, okay, so yeah, so the answers were correct. In fact, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Vishayendriya samyogad yattadagre amritopamam pariname visham iva tatsukham rajasamsritam. Vishaya indriya samyogad. Vishaya is sense objects that give pleasure to the indriyas, the senses. Samyogad, they're coming together. Yattad agre amrita upamam. Agre, in the beginning, they amrita upamam. They are like, it feels like nectar in the beginning. But pariname visham eva. As a consequence, later on, they feel like poison, visham. Tat sukham rajasamsritam. That kind of happiness is happiness in the mode of passion. So, yeah. Hmm. Yeah. So, huh? Sorry? Yeah, yeah. Yeah. It feels like you may feel like, oh, I'm missing out on something. I'm missing out on so much fun that so many others may be having. Oh, yeah. One good example came to my mind. When puberty hits both men and women, yeah, the attraction toward the opposite gender begins. And some boys and girls in their teenage itself, they have affairs. They, in the name of freedom, they go for free affair. Feels like nectar in the beginning. But later on, when they become a little mature, they realize, oh, I made big mistakes. Now I need a proper partner, a life partner, a steady life partner. Then they look for some member of opposite gender who hasn't done all these things in teenage, who has been steady in teenage. But then, but those who stay a little controlled in their teenage, uh, yeah, they may feel like they are missing out on some fun. But yet, because maybe because of some scars given by parents or just some conscience from within, they may stay self-restrained. But then later on, when yeah, they have a better life later on. Uh, yeah, there's one example that comes to my mind. Imagine somebody who has had multiple affairs in the past, lose affairs. It's not a good life. Though it may look like a good life in the beginning, but later on, oh, it's chaotic. Even after marriage, so many problems come. But those who have lived a life of restraint, they have a proper, somewhat steady marriage. So yeah, that's one example that comes. We have a few more examples on the next slide. Yeah. Now, this is a part of the same quiz. These are examples. Yeah, I just wrote down some examples. What a person in each of the modes may think and speak like. I hope it's legible. The color contrast, it's not bad. Okay, would someone like to read? Raviji, would you like to? The first one. Yeah. Yeah. This is, someone may give this kind of argument, right? Yeah, I'm doing it all with my own money. I'm not taking somebody else's money. I'm not a thief. But so yeah, I'm just enjoying life according to what my well-deserved money. And uh, yeah, even if I have multiple affairs, I'm not forcing anyone. It's all by mutual agreement. This is somebody in one of these modes can have this kind of thinking. Okay, next one. Would some, yeah, Deepaji, would you like to? By hook or by crook, I'm going to get my way done. Okay, that's one of the three modes. And then third one now. What, yeah, would you like to? Yeah. Now, after having seen all these three, which ones would you put under which mode? Uh, yeah, how about using the direct words so that the words get hammered in our mind so that we remember? So, we, Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva. Yeah. So, Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva, these are the noun, nominal forms, nouns. And Rajasic is the adjective. Rajasic, Tamasic, and Sattvic. These are the adjectives. Okay, yeah. So this is about happiness in three modes. Now, okay, your answers were perfect. Now, worker in three modes. Somebody, everyone works in this world, right? So Krishna defines about how work can also be in three modes. By the way, before we get into that example, one clarification. Uh, our consciousness is also in one of these three modes prominently. Of course, our consciousness can also go through different states. Sometimes it's in this mode, sometimes that mode, sometimes this. But yet, we have one of the modes is prominent in us. Now, uh, while our internals are also shaped by this, but it's the external inputs that we subscribe to that shapes these internals. So, yeah, when we choose sattvic inputs, our mind, our internals prominently go into sattva gun. Then it comes out as sattvic behavior. When we choose to subscribe to rajasic way of life, rajasic food, rajasic music, all rajasic inputs are going in, then our internals, they take that rajasic shape. And then, yeah, our way of life itself, it comes out as everything about our behavior. It tends to be more towards the rajogun side. Now, yeah. Okay, I'll show all three of these and then we will discuss which falls in which category. Okay, would someone like to read all three of them together? Pawanji? Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. So now, which ones would you put? Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva? Tamas, Rajas, and Sattva. Okay, okay, yeah. So, yeah, because in the first one, yeah, the, cheating and expert in insulting others, there is that quality of even harming others. In the second one, yeah, one is attached to fruits and restless and impure in desires, greedy. Yeah, all these things are there, but not harming others as such. But yeah, the yeah, one is jealous of others, may not be exactly expressing all that. Yeah, it's Rajas is better than Tamas, though it's not recommended to be in Rajas, but it is better than Tamas. For someone who is in Tamas, coming to Rajas is elevation. But yeah, the recommendation is to rise higher and higher and come to Sattva and from sattva take off to Shuddha Sattva. So we will see one airplane analogy toward the end of the session. Yeah, your answers were correct. Tamas, Rajas, and Sattva. Now, food in three modes. So food is also one of the inputs that we daily, practically at a daily level, we keep taking it in. What effect does it have on our consciousness? So this will show us. Okay. Would someone like to read Vikas ji? All three together. Yeah. Now, which one would you put under which mode? First one is obvious, sattva. Yeah, all Krishna is using all good adjectives to describe sattvic food. Second one, rajas. Yeah, and third one is tamas. Yeah, yeah, correct answers. So, so sattvic food is yeah, it's very beneficial for us. It's healthy. It keeps our mind in a good state. It keeps us active. Doesn't make us feel dull and lethargic. Uh, it's based on a compassionate diet. There's minimal harm done. Yeah, and when we have food, there is some harm we are doing to some living entity. That's how this world has been created. Jivo jivasya jivanam. That's one thing mentioned in the scriptures. But a person in sattva thinks, how can I minimize this harm? So, yeah, so naturally, vegetarian foods are sattvic. But even within vegetarian, food that is too spicy, too salty, extreme food that will bring out liquids from all the pores of the body, that goes into rajas. And food that's based on violence toward other creatures, based on, comes from slaughterhouses, product of mercilessly killing animals. Yeah, that's tamas, flesh of some animals. That's tamasic food. Or even food that's decomposed, putrid. It has a very dulling effect on the consciousness, and even it can make one's consciousness destructive and frustrated, angry. Now, one simple question. Why do we may sometimes like restaurant food, but still it's not sustainable. One cannot have it every day. One will get frustrated having outside food every day, or some bad diseases will come in the body. But why does one like home cooked food or food cooked by mother? Say after many months you go home, your mother cooks for you, whoever uh, happens to go to India, and I'm assuming everyone's mothers must be in India. So when we have home cooked food in India, why do you think that feels nice and nourishing? Because, yeah, it's prepared with love, and yeah, love adds that element of, there's actually, when food is prepared, even the consciousness of the cook matters. It goes in and it affects those who are consuming that food. So yeah. Yeah, so yeah, according to Krishna, the food, as soon as it's prepared, uh, it it has that nourishing effect. But as it keeps getting older, food loses its nourishing nature, and also it goes into tamogun. It starts going now. Yeah, now the kind of lifestyles we are living. fast-paced lifestyles. We do eat some fridge food here and there. Best is to have freshly cooked food. And yeah, in our in our parents' generations, we must have seen that every meal is a freshly prepared meal. But the kind of lifestyles we have subscribed to, yeah, it's not ideal actually. So food that's old, uh, yeah, it starts going into tamogun. But yet, some nice vegetarian food which is kept in fridge versus flesh that may even be freshly prepared. It's not that flesh that is freshly prepared is in sattva gun, or it's better than some nice sattvic food, but that has gone a little old, has been kept in the fridge. So, uh, but yeah, food tends to decomposed food or food that's too old. It's beyond 3 hours, it starts having a slightly tamasic effect. The tamas in that food starts creeping in beyond 3 hours. Yeah. So, yeah. So at the 3 hours beyond. Oh, okay. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. I wasn't aware of this FDA regulation, but yeah, it certainly makes sense. Yeah. The food starts losing its nourishing quality, and the older it gets, it starts becoming harmful for the body. So, yeah. Even. Hmm. Yeah, because it's a product of violence, and there's no compassion there. The animals cry for. Actually, there are some people have even clicked documentaries on watching those. Even somebody who is used to that diet will no more feel inclined toward it. Someone made an interesting statement. I'm forgetting. If slaughterhouses had glass walls, as in everyone could see what's going inside, almost everyone would become vegetarians. And one simple logic, if we have to take children for a field trip somewhere, uh, which would be an easier place to take them? Uh, to a farm where there's harvesting going on, or to a slaughterhouse where animals are being butchered? Yeah, it's obvious. Yeah, it's which will have a better effect on their consciousness. And, mhm. Yeah. So, meat in general, it has the karmic portion also associated with that. And then, yeah, it puts our consciousness into a state of tamas. So, meat prominently in tamas. And now, yes, certain people who have to build big bodies, so they may subscribe to a non-vegetarian diet, but yet there are people, big bodybuilders, like even in India, there are these pahalwans, they have akhadas. They absolutely avoid meat. They have a fully vegetarian diet, but they take preparations made with thickened milk, and those are very strong. A normal person cannot have them, but their bodies, which are very well built, and their body can take it, and their body needs it. So even for nourishment with proteins and all this, vegetarian substitutes are always there. So yeah. Hmm.
If you're consuming the food to make your body according because of anything that meat provides its nutrition, I think that you can still get that same health with veganism, and you don't have to eat meat to get that. So it depends on what you're trying to do. So eating meat because you enjoy it, that's I think that will fall under Rajas or Ramas.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Most people, if we see, yeah, they are doing it because it's for the taste buds. Yeah. As far as health is concerned, yeah, there's plenty of healthy foodstuffs even in vegetarian diet. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, you mean to say the inclinations one is carrying? Yeah, certainly. If yeah, past inclinations from previous lives or even from this life, they do go on with us, but they are changeable. When one makes our willpower can override all these things. If we have make a strong determination, yeah, it can certainly be overridden. And as far as the karma part is concerned, yeah, karmic reactions we may carry for harming somebody else. Yeah, it comes back to us because yeah, uh, killing animals in slaughterhouses, it's a very ghastly scene actually. The way they are killed, and um, sometimes people give this argument of food chain. We are helping maintain the food chain. Hmm. But now, is slaughterhouse really helping maintain food chain? It's constructed under so many animals are kept under such bad conditions and they are mercilessly killed. So it's really not food chain. And food chain is something that happens in jungles where, yeah, it's a natural thing. But human beings have that ability to make a choice, to choose compassion over cruelty, to choose long term thinking over short term thinking. So, yeah. So, yeah, karma part, and yeah, we will be discussing this in the section on karma as well. How our actions do bear reactions in future lives. Okay, yeah, now music in three modes. Sure. Hmm. Yeah. Mm. So, yeah, the Vedic understanding of how life has been is the now the theory of evolution. It's propagated as one of the theories, but not all biologists also believe in that. It's a theory, but sometimes when theories are proposed, they come to us. General public tends to accept it as a fact. Now, even right now. Hmm. Yeah, even yeah, as Anusha ji is saying, even monkeys, if at all we have come from monkeys, if but still monkeys are prominently vegetarians, as far as I understand. I could be wrong on that, but most monkeys, if we see, are vegetarians as well. So, yeah, but the Vedic understanding is human species have always existed. It's not that the body changes from one form to another. That theory was given by Darwin. But the scriptural understanding is all species have been created already. So, and yeah, there is, Krishna himself says in the Gita, Aham Bijah Pradah Pita. So, yeah, the material nature is like the mother that bears the seed of living entities, and God is the seed giving father of all living entities. So, yeah, life has been created. Uh, and the Vedic understanding is of time being going in cycles like Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga. Currently, we are in a yuga called Kali Yuga. And then again, we believe in a cyclic form of time rather than purely linear, that humans were earlier primitive and they only keep advancing. That's a linear model that modern science may subscribe to. The Vedic understanding is more cyclic. Cyclic as in civilizations go through peaks and troughs. Civilizations may uh, go through, come to a peak of pinnacle of advancement and so on, and then suddenly civilizations get wiped out, and then uh, yeah, civilizations go through peaks and troughs. That's the Vedic understanding, and yeah, that fits well with the cyclic model of time, where yeah, we have these four yugas: Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga. And yeah, Satya, so basically this happens under the creation of God, where uh, in Satya Yuga, souls who are more pious, who carry great amounts of, who have done a lot of virtuous deeds, they mostly live on planet Earth. But then in Treta Yuga, more contaminations come in the human society. In Dwapar Yuga, further degradations come, and in Kali Yuga, most degradations come. So, Treta Yuga and Dwapar Yuga. Yeah. Krishna came in Dwapar Yuga. Okay. Shall we proceed with music in three modes now? Sound vibrations that we take in, they could also be in three modes. So, now I didn't put anything in writing here, but I'll just give some examples. So say, for example, music that talks about destruction, glorification of evil, talks about hatred. And when I was studying in my school in India, up to 10th, I used to see one school friend wear a t-shirt with one musician's picture, and on that would be written, I hate myself, and the undersigned name was Kurt Cobain or someone. So later on, I found out that actually there was a musician called Kurt Cobain. He had committed suicide later on, and all his songs were also along these lines. Yeah, expressing frustration, anger, hatred, and I hate myself also. Those kind of songs also. So yeah, which mode do you think these kind of songs come under? Tamas. Yeah, wonderful. Then songs that glorify the body parts of a romantic partner. Your eyes are like this, your cheeks are like that, your lips are like this, and your hips are like that. What do you think? Which mode? Rajas, yeah. And then songs that have some deep philosophical meaning, and they have some message of detachment, and songs maybe glorifying nature. They come under Sattva Gun, yeah. And then there is something called Shuddha Sattva also. Songs that talk about, that are spiritual in nature, that glorify God, Paramatma, and our relationship with God. So they are beyond the three modes. They are in Shuddha Sattva. We are going to see what Shuddha Sattva is like. Now, time for some case studies. These are very fun case studies. Now we'll quickly read them. Would someone like to read the entire thing? Okay, yeah.
Right. Just right is qualified artists of honesty and service. It's hobby. Reading books of philosophy, poetry, and science. Mrs. Wright, when kids are in school, engages in empowerment garden around the house and clears the family town. The Wright family is considers and God. The education is by almost anyone's standards, they consider it very nice. They don't have to smoke, and what would be liquor? They don't even drink tea or coffee. Dr. Bright has seen many of his patients exhaust themselves in some kind of ways. He's always been faithful to his wife, and she too has always been faithful. Brights decided long ago that killing animals is barbaric, so they never eat meat, fish, chicken, or eggs. All in all, the Brights lead a clean
Oh. Sorry, yeah, there's a typo there. A lead a clean, simple, and a happy life. Yeah. So, which mode do you think this is in? Their overall life, Sattva Gun. Yeah. Any specific points in this whole text you would like to highlight that resonate with Sattva Gun? Honestly and selflessly. Yeah. Not killing of animals. Yeah, wonderful. Then, uh, yeah, sort of. Any form of if intoxicants that we may put into our body. Yeah, it has that. Of course, alcohol is of another grade altogether. Drugs, cigarettes, and all. But yeah, this particular family, they avoided even milder intoxicants. So if you see, their life is prominently in Sattva Gun. Yeah. Okay. No. Hmm. Yeah. Thankful. Yeah. Wonderful. Okay. Now, next example. Okay. Would someone else like to read? Yeah. Mm. What would you say here, Rajas? Yeah. Any points you want to highlight that give a semblance of Rajogun? More about appearances rather than real substance. Okay, then, yeah, too much activity, hardly any time for contemplation, restlessness. Yeah, and disregarding the guidelines of scriptures. Oh, yeah. Do we have a to go box? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah. Oh, even with luxuries, one can, if one is living without attachment to them. Hmm. Sometimes kings in the past, they were uh, so saintly from within. In fact, the scriptures have a word, Raja Rishi. Raja outside, but Rishi inside. So they would have been happy living under trees as well. They are not as such attached, but they are dutifully performing the activities as a king, guiding the kingdom. And yeah, so luxuries in themselves are not bad, but attachment to them, that and then using them for prestige or show off, that yeah tends to be in Rajogun. Yeah. Any other points from here that come out prominently? Yeah, intricate minds, too many thoughts. Yeah, hardly any time for contemplation and deeper thinking about the deeper meaning of life. Okay, yeah. In this connection, there's a small story. There was once a man who was traveling and he took a break, stopped somewhere, and he saw that man was a businessman. He had one bullock cart with which he used to carry goods from one place to another. And then, yeah, that he would, um, yeah, that was his business and he was trying to grow that. So at one particular day, he stopped somewhere and he saw another man sitting under a tree and peacefully sitting and meditating. So he asked him, he in his mind he judged that other man. He thought, what is this guy doing, wasting his time? Then he struck a conversation with him and they started speaking. So he asked him questions. Okay, what are you doing here? Then that man who was sitting, he just said, I'm just sitting here peacefully. And then yeah, this man said, oh, just sitting peacefully doing nothing. You don't you have any aim? Then that other man, okay, so he asked him a question. Okay, then you tell me, what are you trying to do? So then he spoke with a little pride that, "Oh, I'm doing a business. I have one bullock cart." Okay, then this man asked him, okay, then what was the next thing you plan to achieve? And he said, yeah, I'll grow my business and then I'll have two bullock carts. And then, okay, what next? Then I'll have four. Okay, then what next? Then my goal is to make it 10 and then I'll give five to each of my sons. Okay, and then, and yeah, then, yeah, I'll sit peacefully. And then this man said, well, that's what I'm doing. Hmm. So, yeah, that's the nature of Rajas. In Rajas, one acts too much and one doesn't consider the long-term goal. So, say for example, somebody starts earning money with the intent of, yeah, having supporting the family, showing more love to family members by providing better things. Welcome, Sundar Prabhu. We are very happy to have Sundar Prabhu, Sundarji with us. He's my teacher, my mentor, and as I had mentioned in the beginning, we'll have multiple teachers for this course. And he was in India, so we didn't have the fortune to hear from him, but very happy to have him now. He just came back from India a few days back. He kindly joined us today. So yeah, we'll hear some perspectives from him as well. Okay, so yeah, that's the nature of Rajas. So say for example, someone starts earning money with the intent of expressing more love to family members, but then loses track of that and then gets completely carried away in the process of earning money so much that one has absolutely no time for the family members. So that's one symptom of Rajogun. But in Sattva Gun, one has one's goals and priorities cleared. Now, next example. It's easy to see which of the three modes now. Yeah, would someone like to read this? Uh, and yeah, please.
But if it's for us to achieve a confidence, John by peddling drugs, religion, they decided long ago is something they want absolutely no part of. They spend their time sleeping at least 10 to 12 hours a day, or else getting high on drugs, feasting on beer and salad, and languishing in their apartment. For years, they have dreamed about starting a commune in Spain.
So, which mode do you think their life is prominently in? Tamogun, yeah. So, what are the symptoms of Tamogun here? For instance, last line, does something sound like Tamogun? Just dreaming, not. Yeah, in Tamogun, one simply dreams, but one does not act on it. Rajogun is at least better, one acts. But in Sattvagun, one is thoughtful and then acts. Any other symptoms of Tamogun you see here? Laziness, yeah. Drugs, alcohol, intoxication, meat, yeah. Complete disconnection from any form of religion or spirituality, rather dismissing it and rejecting it. Yeah. Yes, yes, yeah. In fact, we will see. The next slide talks about the modes competing with each other. Actually, our lives are made up of a mixture of all three modes. And how we can prominently make it sattvic, that also we will see through some choices we make, subscribing to certain inputs that we take in. So, yeah. So, our lives are filled with mixed modes. So just like colors brought together, and with three basic colors, one can create so many types of colors. So similarly, our lives are a mixture of all three modes, and it forms like a complex tree. So from three basic modes, there are multiple possibilities, a little more of this mode, a little less of this mode. And then, yeah, there's this verse from Bhagavad Gita. We'll go a little faster through these slides. So there's this verse. Rajastamascha sattvam bhavati bharata rajah sattvam tamaschaiva tamah sattvam rajastatha. Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the modes of passion and ignorance. Like morning is a time when most of us feel sattvic. And then sometimes the mode of passion takes prominence and defeats the other two modes. And at other times, ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is a competition for supremacy among these three modes. So, yeah, even in a daily cycle, morning time is when usually the mind is more peaceful, sattvic, and that's the ideal time for performing our spiritual practices. In fact, any work done even in the morning hours can be done more efficiently. People have experience of this. And then as the sunlight comes up and the activities of the day begin, we start hearing cars moving around. Rajas starts creeping in. And as night falls, tamas starts creeping in. But yet somebody whose life is prominently sattvic, even at night, such a person's behavior and ways of conducting can be more sattvic. So yeah, we have, with our willpower, with some spiritual choices we make, we can design our life, craft it in such a way that our life is prominently in Sattva Gun at functional level. And here's one small video of one. In fact, when dinner is being served, I'll turn this video on. We'll go ahead and cover some more slides. We'll end the presentation and then come to the video. And then while we are having dinner, we can even interact with Sundarji and get to know him. So, yeah. So basically, garbage in, garbage out. That's one principle we hear of. Similarly, there's good in, good out. So how does this session help us at all? So it's about which modes we subscribe to. There's a lot in our choice power. We can choose to subscribe to a certain mode. The food choices we make, the choice of sound vibrations we hear, the choice of what we see matters so much. And that's how our consciousness goes into those modes. So for those of us who are aspiring practitioners of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, we follow for diet, we follow a vegetarian diet, and not just that, whatever food we cook, we offer it to God with love and devotion. And we call it prasad. And that prasad has really uplifting effect on our consciousness. And whatever we have here, it's all offered, by the way. So Tarangji, Natwarji, Khushiji, they prepare such wonderful food, offer it with devotion. And that's prasad. We have Tarang Prabhu's mother as well, mother and father here. So yeah, we subscribe to sattvic food choices. And in fact, this is even beyond sattva gun. And then the sound vibrations we subscribe to. Just like parents are often so conscious about what visuals or sound vibrations their children get exposed to when they interact with devices. Similarly, adults who care about their inner life, they are also particular about keeping filters of what inputs to let in. And this knowledge of modes helps us there. And then, yeah, what visuals we see. So we prefer to see spiritual visuals, like visiting the temple, seeing the form of the deities is such a wonderful way to fill our consciousness with positive spiritual inputs. Then sattvic inputs would be something like taking a walk in the nature, seeing nature. So yeah, now, okay, we'll cover a few more slides, then we'll come back to the video. So in summary, Sattva Gun is a balanced way of life. Rajogun is overexertive, and Tamogun is inactive and even destructive. A life of frustration or helplessness. And so yeah, in the mode of goodness, Sattva Gun, one is happy and balanced. In passion, one is restless and overexertive. And in ignorance, one is helpless, inactive, frustrated, destructive. Here's one example from the history where one father, he was expressing love toward his son. But when he found out that his son has devotion to Lord Vishnu, he made attempts to kill his own son. Immediately, there was a change in his attitude toward his son. And whose example is this? Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad. So in which mode would you categorize this kind of expressing of love? There's description about this in Bhagavatam. Hiranyakashipu took Prahlad on his lap, very lovingly started caressing him. My dear son, tell me, what have you learned in your school? And then when Prahlad starts speaking, and he speaks about the higher spiritual truths, Hiranyakashipu there itself throws him down and calls his soldiers, kill him, take him immediately. So do you see the big contrast? A sudden change. He was just expressing love a few moments ago, and now he's saying, kill him. in which mode would you categorize this kind of superficial expression of love? It's not love at all, but yet if it has to be seen as love, at least what he showed in the beginning, in what mode is it? Rajas and even uh, a mixture of both Rajas and Tamas, prominently Tamas. Yeah, wonderful. So now we come to Krishna says actually both all three are binding chains. So it's not that the goal of the Atma is to even stay in Sattva Gun. Krishna says in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 45th verse, Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna Nirdvandvo Nitya Sattvastho Niryogakshema Atmavan. Traigunya, these three gunas, Krishna is saying, yeah, rise above them. O Arjuna, and yeah, be situated in Nitya Sattva or Shuddha Sattva, which is higher than even the mode of goodness. As we discussed in the beginning, the mode of goodness is the best one among all three in this material realm. But the Atma's original nature is to be in Shuddha Sattva or Nitya Sattva. But when we act in this world at a functional level, Sattva Guna is the best mode to be functioning in. And there's this beautiful analogy. Sattva Gun can be compared to, Rajogun and Tamogun, by the way, can be compared to some rough road. Tamogun, no road at all, just some mud and stones here and there. But Rajogun can be compared to a rough road, but Sattvagun can be compared to a smooth road, the runway of that we have in airports, from where the plane of our existence can take off. A plane cannot take off from a rough, muddy road or no, where there's no road at all. There's no possibility of a plane to take off. But from a smooth runway, it can take off. So Sattvagun is like that smooth runway. But the goal of the plane is not just to stay on the runway. The goal is to take off. So the goal of the Atma is not just to stay in Sattvagun, but to take off to the higher realm. And that is the transcendental realm, Nitya Sattva or Shuddha Sattva, and about which we will be discussing in future sessions. So thank you so much for your attention, participation, and wonderful questions. Before we start with our dinner prasad, we would love to hear from Sundarji as well. Would you like to speak something, Sundar Prabhu? I consider him my teacher and mentor, and he started taking these courses in 2015. Okay, sure, yeah. Okay, yeah, maybe we could ask questions to you. Is that okay? Okay, sure, yeah. Would someone like to go? Maybe we would love to hear from each one of you while your plates are being made. Yeah, good. Yeah, good idea.
What category? And I also said like we have not always
Yes, true. Yeah, same person can be in all three modes, but we can prominently choose to subscribe to live in one of these modes. And the more we take in sattvic inputs, the more it starts shaping our internals. Yeah.
but by just being aware of what motives affects us, modify our actions.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much in our control, actually. Yeah.
Which is kind of contrary to what the previous session, right, where we say that we're really not a lot in control of that need happen to us. This is one thing.
Yeah. True. Yeah. We can choose to filter the inputs that come in. And we can choose sattva gun over the other gunas. Yeah. Would someone else like to share some reflection?
Convince ourselves, right? Even though it's like this, and maybe like it. Okay, for once it's fine. But at that moment we feel like we tend to cheat ourselves. But I mean, of course, what are the techniques and using Gita mainly? I was looking, what are the techniques or what are the things that they tell us to convert our, I mean, or maybe to make ourselves move from like pleasures to tamas or tamas to what's the
Yeah. So you're asking about the technique to move from tamas to rajas and then to sattva. So yeah, for those who are in tamogun, at least when they come to rajogun by acting in this world, that's a form of elevation for them. But again, that's not the highest goal. We, most of us, our lifestyles may be a combination of sattva and rajas with minimal tamas. Sometimes there may be some tamas as well. But when we take to spiritual practices, no matter which of these modes we are, spiritual practices help one rise above all three modes. In the beginning, they something like this. Uh, Say there are some iron filings on a floor, and there's a powerful magnet, and there are different layers, different levels. So, uh, uh, tamogun, rajogun, and sattvagun, and higher than that is shuddha sattva. So spiritual practices are like a strong magnet that first pull us from lower modes to higher modes, and then even they take us even beyond the modes. They liberate the atma from the cycle of birth and death. And in the previous session, we discussed uh, this beautiful process of mantra meditation, where we chant the names of God. Sound vibrations have very powerful and subtle effects on our consciousness. We once saw one example of music in three modes. But when we chant mantras specifically for this Kali Yuga, this mantra is called the Maha Mantra, where we chant names of God, and we chant regularly. We fixed a prescribed number of rounds, and we daily do that. We fix some minimum quota for ourselves. We could begin with a little, just a little, and then try to do it every day, and then every day having just prasad, a sattvic food, and offered with devotion. We can definitely make it tasty. It's not that sattvic food is bland necessarily. We can make it tasty, delicious, and offer it with devotion. That becomes prasad, and when we take that, it has a very uplifting effect on our consciousness. Anybody, even from tamogun, and we have examples, even drug addicts, or at least in this, in ISKCON, which is a beautiful chain of temples that aims at spreading teachings of Bhagavad Gita. There are examples of so many transformations. And would Sundar Prabhu like to share something about this?
stands for association. Something that we keep. But, many sayings, one of the saying is the other you know, five things. So, that is the thing. John's that implies that so as we associate, so we will realize. So depending on our desire, then we act in a certain way and we do a certain lifestyle and so on. So association, you know, I would say, you know, that is kind of 90% of the solution. So if we have good association, I mean, after the satsang, where association with sat, truth is elaborated upon. So associations have the same effect on us, and it molds our desires, finding desires, and that our direction, the life direction of the dreams. So A stands for association, and B stands for books. When we read these books, I mean, it's talking to the people that's good in that. So as we take the wisdom, then it has a very enlightening effect on us, especially knowledge. There's power. This knowledge has to be applied as well. So that application of knowledge is transformation. C, chanting, very powerful process. I don't know, mind is cleansed. Mind has a lot of impurities. And how the software sometimes has bugs. And then, I mean, and the mind can be compared to a very complicated software. And so the anti-bug programs and everything, which basically